Hello everyone, welcome back to our My 2017 Solar System project. So far we've got a few planets made, we're making some progress. In this lesson we're just going to keep on moving forward. This project is inside of your introduction to Maya handbook through Cybex, if that's what you're following. We do use a little bit of different variations in my particular version. Inside of the Cybex version you use NURBS and single color shaders, whereas we're going to actually add some texture maps in this one. So there's going to be a little bit of difference going on here. Alright, so let's just go ahead and dive on in right where we left off. So far we made Saturn, that was where we left off. Next one we're going to make is Uranus. Uranus has 3 moons, so we're going to go ahead and basically, let's see here, grab Saturn here. Kind of move off to the side here. And we're going to duplicate Saturn and turn that into Uranus. So we'll just hit Control D. That will duplicate Saturn. Just move that off to the side here. Let's go to our top-down view. Keep working that way. That's how we did it last time. So we're just going to go to our 4 panel. We'll go to top and press spacebar in the top view. Sorry, I'm not really sick. It's just allergy season right now. I'm in Oregon, so pollen count is off the chain here. Alright, so we're going to change our name here. Remember, we're sticking with naming conventions. We got mesh underscore. We're going to call this one Uranus, U-R-A-N-U-S. Okay. Uranus is just a little bit smaller than Saturn, so we're going to scale that down. Hit R for scale. Just going to scale this down about like so. Sure, that's like that. Okay, next. And Uranus also has 3 moons. Let's go ahead and bring those over. So we'll just grab these guys from here. We'll hit Control D, duplicate all 3 of these, bring them on over. Let's go ahead and just scale them down a little bit as well. Actually, no, that's not going to work. I was thinking scale. It would work if they're grouped, but we haven't really quite gotten to groups yet, so I'm not going to jump ahead there. I'm going to turn on grid snapping again. So this little magnet here on the left here, this little grid's on there. If you hover your mouse over the top, it says snap to grids. We're going to activate that. That'll make it to where as I move this, it'll pop between the grids. Click on the next one, left mouse button drag. Just get over to here. That's good. Left mouse button drag. Okay. So now all our moons are surrounding this planet of Uranus. So now we're moving on. We're going to do Neptune next. So let's go ahead and duplicate Uranus and turn that one to Neptune. So hit Control D, move it on over. Okay, Neptune is the same size as Uranus, so I don't have to do anything there. Maybe make it 1 extra space away. Neptune has 1 moon, so we'll go ahead and duplicate Uranus's 1 moon here. I'll just stick it right about there. Okay. And then we're going to do Pluto. Pluto is obviously really small. I know Pluto is also not considered a planet anymore, but the Cybex book considers it a planet for funsies, so we're going to go ahead and roll with it. So scale this down a little bit. Bigger than the moons, but not by a whole lot. Okay, say something like that. And ironically, Pluto also has a moon, so we're going to go ahead and put it over here. I personally think that anything that has a moon should be a planet, but that's just me. Alright. Also, let's go ahead and make sure we name this. So we got this guy here. Let's go ahead and make sure we call this not Uranus 2. We're going to call this Pluto. Okay. And we're going to freeze transform, so this will be zeroed out from 0.6. We're going to turn these all into 1. What also freezing transforms does, and I think I might have mentioned this in an earlier lesson, but I'm going to go ahead and reiterate anyways for anyone who is just wondering about freeze transforms and what that is. Aside from setting these scales to 1, this will also clear out the translate and rotates, bring these all to 0. Now, how is that helpful? It makes it to where now it's not going to be, if you zero out the translate here, it would snap back to where it was created, which is right here. But eventually these would all start to snap back to the origin, which is the world origin right here, 0, 0, 0. Now by freezing transforms, as far as this particular object is concerned, this is its new world origin. It's 000 is right here. If you were to zero out its channel box, it'd bring you back to its start point, which is right here. Which is really good for animation purposes, because if we want to bring it back to its start location, we want its start location to be where we left it, not where the world origin is. So that's the reason why we use freeze transforms, or one of the reasons we use freeze transforms. Okay, alright, so we got ourselves all of our planets done. They're all named. Let's go through and make sure that we freeze the transforms on everything. So I'll just select this one here. Okay, I can see there's values in the X, and these aren't 1 in the scales, so I'm going to freeze transforms that one. So I'll click freeze transforms. And from here, since I clicked it one time, if you remember, if you hit the G key, that will repeat your last command. Since the last command was freeze transforms, I should be able to go through here and just hit G instead of having to go up here, and it'll clear out my transforms on each one of these. Same thing goes for our moons. I can just hit that and go through and freeze transforms on everything. You could also try selecting everything and freezing transforms rather than doing it one at a time. Sometimes that works. Sometimes mine just goes with whatever was the last thing you selected, but it looks like that works just fine. So if you want to go that route, that's fine. So I just grab all these guys here, just hit G, and everything's been frozen. Might be able to just go ahead in that case and just freeze transforms on everything. There we go. Everything is at its origin as far as it's concerned, or its object origin. Alright, so we have our planets created. Let's give them some life. Now, if you are in my class, you can go to the Moodle page and there'll be a download packet for the planet textures here. Now, if you have the book for Cybex, you can go to the webpage and just download the textures. Or if you want, you can go to my YouTube channel will have a Dropbox location where just follow the link there, and you can also download all the textures for our planets here. So however you want to go about it, I'd probably say just go ahead and go to my Dropbox. That's what I put it there for, and download them if you don't have them already. I downloaded them already and put them on my desktop, so I can show you where you want to put these. So I'm going to shrink this down for a second. Let's go like this. So we'll just move it over here. Okay. Here is planets maps. That's the textures for all these guys, right? Okay. There was a folder I created, and it's called Solar System Project. Okay, let's go ahead and just shrink this down. We'll bring this over here. Okay, we're going to bring this back up. Go up to the side here. Now, what I want to show you is that we created our project folder, and this is one of the uses that you use your project folder. It has to be done correctly. So what we're going to do is you just double click on the Solar System project folder like so, and you want to go to where it says source images. This is where Maya is going to look for all the texture maps, and texture maps are essentially picture files that get wrapped around 3D objects. So that's very useful for us. So we're going to go ahead and take our planet maps here, and we're just going to select all of them and just move them into our source images folder. Okay. This is now empty, so I should just be able to delete it. Okay, yeah, just go ahead and can that. Everything I need is now inside my source images, right where I want it. Boom, they're all there. Perfect. Okay. Alright. Now we're going to go into how we're going to attach these. Now, we went through in the introduction to Maya how to create shaders in the Hypershade. So we're going to go back into that. So they changed up a lot of these little shortcuts here. And one thing they gave us, which at first I thought was kind of annoying, but actually I see the purpose in it, is before they'd give us 3 different icons down here, and one took you to the graph, one took you to like a hypergraph, and the other one took you to like the Hypershade. But there's so many different panels inside of Maya. They gave you instead this perspective and stacked panel split option, to where you can now take, here's our perspective that we're just looking through. We can now go to panels. So if we wanted the front view, we're fine. We can just stop right here. But in most cases, we don't. This is just kind of separating the screens, giving us 2 different windows inside of Maya to work with. Okay, let's give ourselves a little more real estate over here. we're going to go to panels. And how about before I even dive into this, let me go through and explain really quickly what we're looking at as far as in these panels. Now, this whole first section here, these are all render settings. Most of this stuff you don't deal with till later in your project. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. They don't really even need explanation. Same thing goes for this. These are all for rendering, so I'm going to shrink that as well. These sets here, these all pertain to what we're currently working with inside our perspective window. And our perspective window is this one right here. This window as well, though. Each one is individually operated. So whatever I do in this one doesn't necessarily apply to this one. So if I want it to happen over here, I have to do the same thing over here to do over here. I know that kind of sounds tedious, but it's for screen optimization and for resource management, so that when your computer starts to slow down, you can ease off some of the processes that Maya is working with in the multiple windows. So anyways, what we got going on here, the first one here, this is wireframe, and if you look over here as you hover your mouse down, you'll see down here in the bottom left, it'll tell you what these things are. But wireframe essentially makes it to where you are looking at just the wireframe. It takes away the shaders that are attached to your 3D objects, and you're just left with this framework. The next one over is your shade mode, which is what we actually worked with already. You guys are very familiar with this one. This one usually is already activated, right? Okay. The next one is use default material, which is what it currently comes with. So not a lot you're going to see change there. Now if you go down one more, this one's actually one that I use quite a bit. This is called wire on shaded. Makes it to where you can have your shaded going on, but also puts the polygons over the top of it so you can see what your geometry looks like. So that one's really useful, and I use this one quite a bit. Won't use it a ton in this particular project, but in future projects you'll see me use this all the time. Okay, turn this feature off. Now this one here, this one always trips my students up. Because once they create a shader and they attach their texture files in, if you don't have this one here activated, your textures that are plugged into the shader won't appear. It'll just be gray like you're currently looking at it. Right? Okay, so we'll come back to this one. Next one, this is lights. If you have any lights in your scene, this will turn off the default light, which we're currently working with, and turn on any virtual lights you created. So since we don't have any lights, I'm also going to bypass that one. Next one over is shadows. Now, again, we don't have a light source and we don't have any ground, so I can't really demonstrate this. But if you had a light source and ground, and you had lights turned on, and you had shadows turned on, it just upgrades the realism that you're seeing the way you're previewing it in the perspective window. Okay, this next icon here, this is isolate select. This is something that's very handy. As you select one thing here, let's say that I want to select this, but I don't want all these planets to be in the way. If you click isolate select, it makes it to where everything else goes away, and the only thing that's in the scene is the thing you have selected. That is super handy for multiple reasons. One, if objects are in the way, makes it to where you can grab the one you want and just work on it without anything being in your way. Other reason why it's handy is if your scene's kind of dogging because you have a bunch of other stuff going on, just grab the things you want to work with and isolate them. That's one way of doing it. You can also create a layer, but that's a little bit more complex. This is a one button fix to where you don't have to set anything up. You just grab what you want and isolate it. So super handy. Don't forget about this one. Little blue checker box, little mouse arrow in it. Okay. Next one over. This is X-ray. This allows you to see through your objects. Very handy. This is used for reference images and multiple other reasons. But we'll come back to this one as well. Next one over is X-ray active components. This is more of a complex subject, something we'll come back to again. Also, the following one is X-ray joints. We don't get into that until we actually have some animation. And the rest of the stuff is more for gamma and stuff like that to kind of even out your scene here. But again, all advanced stuff that we don't need to get into right now. Okay, so I just want to go over that very lightly one more time since we're getting ready to go into the Hypershade. All right, so now that my tangent is over, let's go ahead and get back to business here. Let's turn this panel here into our Hypershade. So to do that, you can go to Panels, and this will give you access to everything inside of Maya. You can change your camera views by going to Perspective, or Stereo, or Orthographic, and by going in these areas here, you can change your view from front to side to top. But that doesn't really, that's not where we're trying to go. We're trying to go to the Hypershade. So we gotta go down to panel again, which is really weird. I don't understand why it's set up that way. We have to go to panels, then panel again. But I guess, sure, whatever. I suppose they could have figured out a better name for this one so it wasn't duplicating names on their menu sets, but whatever. Obviously, that was never brought up in that meeting. Okay, so we're going to go down the line here. Here is our Hypershade. You'll see your graph editor, dope sheet, you have component editor, outliner, paint effects, render views, script editor, time editor, tracks editor. There's so much stuff inside here. Like pretty much every single thing you see in here is a new program inside of Maya. But we're going to do the Hypershade. So we're going to go to Hypershade right here. Okay. Might take a minute for your computer to open the Hypershade up. Let's see here. There we go. All right. I have other stuff running on the background, so my computer's dogging a little bit. Let me close a little bit of it down. Background over here. Just ditch some of this extra stuff. I have two screens, so lots of things running around. Okay, still going. All right, so let's get to it. Our basic surfaces, and let's go ahead and move this off to the side. This thing here is kind of, well, this is kind of cool actually. This is different than the way that if you've been working with Maya 2012 all the way to Maya 2015, they overhauled the Hypershade in 2016, 2017. They got rid of Metal Ray and they adopted Arnold because the Metal Ray contract was up. You can still get a Metal Ray plugged in, but the whole thing going on here is very different. This is kind of the same, set up very differently though. But they also included the shader over here on this side attached to it, which is a little interesting. The material preview and all that. Normally it's over here attached to your attributes, so that's a little bit something different. If you've been working with Maya before, this is something that you will notice won't be quite the same, but that doesn't matter. We can still run with it, right? Okay, so if you look over here in this little teeny box over here, this is our where all of our materials are. Okay, so let's go ahead and well, it's not going to give you much more real estate, unfortunately. It's trying to push me against the wall with this, but I can still work with it. Okay, so Maya, and then if you look down here, we have, let's go to surfaces, and the ones we want are the ones that say Lambert, Fong, and Blinn. Lambert is the one we actually want, which is this one right here. It's a little hard to see. We'll go ahead and click it one time and create ourselves a Lambert. Okay. Good. Okay. I wish I could just click on this one and get rid of this, because this is actually the window I don't use very often. It's a connection editor which allows you to connect different attributes, but you don't necessarily need it. I'm going to can this particular window here in a minute, but I want to show you guys how to attach stuff in before I do that. Okay, so okay, Lambert 2. First, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and call this one Lambert _ Sun. Naming conventions for everything, guys. Make sure everything's named, otherwise you'll have Lambert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your outliner over here, and these start to be very hard to see what's actually what if you have them all named the same thing. Also, don't do what I'm about to do to Lambert 1. Lambert 1 is what everything inside of Maya, when you create it, is attached to. So if you create Lambert 1 here and you attach a texture file to it, everything you create will have that texture attached to it. Now you can break that texture and fix it, of course, but it's just a pain in the butt, and I strongly recommend you get in the habit of not messing with Lambert 1 ever. Okay, so let's keep going forward here. Alright, so we have Lambert Sun. We're going to go ahead and add this one to our sun. So if you remember from the introduction to Maya, all you have to do is middle mouse button drag, and you just drag and drop it onto our sun, right? Also, you can grab the sun, and if you want to, just right mouse button on top of this particular shader and go to assign material to selection. Both options will work. Okay. Alright, so now let's actually get some texture on here. So to do so, we're going to select our Lambert Sun, which it currently is. You can look over here, it says Lambert Sun right there, right? Okay, and underneath color, there's nothing in here yet. But next to it, you'll see this little checker box. Now, if you click this checker box, this will give you the option of being able to add a texture file to it. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. among other things. There's actually a ton of things you can do by attaching things in with these nodes, but very simply, we're going to keep it pretty simple for this particular project. Okay, guys, we're going to go to File. Okay, so now it gives you this little arrow, right? You saw it for a second before it flipped over to this one. And then over here, you'll see there's a folder, right, where it says image name. Go ahead and click on that folder, okay? And it'll say, okay, now this is the cool thing. We dropped all those pictures inside the source images folder. Since we set the project to our solar system project, it automatically goes to our source images folder looking for that picture, which is great. We don't have to navigate looking through our files trying to find that picture. It's just already going to be there, right? That's that point. Okay, so now we're going to go and find our sun map. Should be right here. Okay, sun map, perfectly, the little sunspots and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and go to open. All right, now you can see over here on our little preview shader what this will look like. Cool, right? Now if you look over our sun, nothing's happened over here. Okay, this is where students usually freak out. They're like, oh, I've attached the file in, but nothing happened. Maya has a problem. Maya doesn't have a problem. You just don't have your textures turned on. So this comes back to when we're talking about the viewport, how to optimize things. You got to turn on your textures, which is this one right here. It looks like a ball with little checkers on it. Okay, so now you turn the textures on, and now we have our sun with the texture on it, right? Pretty cool, yeah? Cool. Let's go ahead and do a preview render and see what we got going on here, okay? Oh, we got to switch our renderer. So, well, Arnold might do it, but I don't think it will since we used Maya shader. Yeah, as predicted, it did not do anything because we didn't use an Arnold shader. We'll switch this from Arnold renderer, switch it to Maya software. Okay, let's go ahead and re-render now. There we go. All right, so there's our sun. Now, looking at this render here, our sun is not bright enough. It's not illuminating like a sun should, right? So we can actually mess with the effects a little bit to help with that. So let's go ahead and you can click on, let's see here, they changed the pictures here. Oh, here it is. So if you click on this one here, this will save this particular render. Okay, so go ahead and click on this, save this one. You'll see that it says frame 1. We have a little slider box now going from left to right. Okay, so that as we render again, it'll give us a next image, so we can compare the two till we get the way we want it to look. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this down for a second. Okay, now I'm going to go to the color balance down here for this shader. Okay, so this is fine. I'm going to go back to my Lambert sun, and this gives me some more options, okay? Okay, so some of the options I want to look at is incandescence. That will make the object appear like it's lighting up, even though it's not necessarily lighting up. So that was actually the one I'm after. So let's go ahead and just give us a little bit of pop on that. Okay, that's good. Okay. I was looking for another property, but apparently some of the options for the shader got taken away in this version of Maya. So possibly, let's see here. Let's see if I can this. If I can. There we go. Sorry. The preview they're giving me, like I was going to say, I don't think they've got rid of it, but underneath special effects. So I just basically all I did is I got rid of the preview window they're giving me, and I just double clicked on the shader itself, which brought up the old attributes, which is the one that I'm used to seeing here, which if you used Maya before, this is what you're familiar with. So underneath special effects, there's one that says glow intensity. So this will make it to where it looks like our sun is glowing. So before I mess with this, let's go ahead and bring back our renderer. Let's do a test render with this, see what this looks like. Okay, it's a little brighter now, so let's go ahead and scroll left and right. It's like this is what it looks like now. This is what it looked like before. Okay, it looks a little brighter. It makes it to where, this part here where it's shadowed and blacked out, that's gone. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll save this one. And we're going to go to glow intensity. Let's go ahead and bump this up to Yeah, let's say 2. Okay, or 0.2. And let's go ahead and fire off another render. Okay, there we go. It's got a nice little glow to it. That's more of a believable type sun. Obviously, it would probably be a lot brighter, but that I could at least live with for right now. Okay, let's go ahead and can this. All right, so moving on. Let's go ahead and get Mercury textured. We're going to create ourselves another Lambert. So let's just go down here, click Lambert. Go ahead and call this one underscore Mercury. Okay, excellent. We're going to go ahead and select Mercury. We'll right mouse button on the shader I want, which is this one, assign material to selection. Okay. Just double click this Lambert over here, pop up the attribute editor over on this side, click on the little checker box next to the color attribute. Okay. Go to File, click on this little folder, and go to the Mercury file, which is, let's see here, Mercury, I saw it just a second ago, there it is, Mercury. Okay, so now Mercury has texture on it, and it's already on there. I don't have to go turn on my texture map again, it's just automatically there. Okay, cool. Alright, moving along. Got about 4 minutes left in this lecture. Let's see what else we can get going. We're going to create ourselves another Lambert. Okay, this one is going to be called underscore Venus. We'll go ahead and select Venus. Right mouse button, assign material to selection. Double click on the shader. We're going to go to Texture. We're going to go to File. And we're going to go to Folder. And we're going to go to Venus Map. Now, the first time you kind of go through this whole process, sometimes it's a little bit kind of like, oh, failed to open that one, huh? Okay, let's go ahead and find Venus. Oh, there we go. Apparently I have some corrupt ones in there. Okay, so what I was going to say before my told me my file was not working correctly was that when you first start going through this process, it seems like kind of a lot of steps to get this textures initially attached. But once you start running through them, that's the reason why I like this particular project, is that you have to go through this particular process with every planet. So by the time you get done with it, you're pretty familiar with how to go and create a shader, attach a shader, go find the file, attach the texture file, and so forth. So I know it may seem a little tedious to begin with, but it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and move on. Let's get ourselves another Lambert here. Okay, we're going to click on this texture folder. We're going to go to File, go to Folder, and we're going to go to Earth. Where's that? There it is. Open that, and I'll select the planet, and we're going to go to Lambert 5. Make sure we call this one Earth. Okay. Good. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to texture our moon now. And we'll go ahead and attach the same shader to all the moons. So let's go ahead and create ourselves another Lambert. This one's going to be called Moon. Okay. And we're going to go to Texture, File, Folder, Moon. Where's it at? There's Moon. Okay. And we're going to go through. I'm going to hit Q to get rid of this manipulator. That'll help me select all of them. Actually, probably the easiest would be to go and just select all this here and just go through and deselect all the planets. So to deselect, I'm just holding down Shift, left mouse button clicking, and by doing that, it just deselects everything else that I don't want selected. And then we're going to go to Lambert Moon. Okay. So now all the moons now have that texture. Okay, we got time for one more planet. We're going to do Mars, and then we're going to take a break. So we're going to go ahead and create ourselves another Lambert. We're going to go ahead and call this one Mars. We're going to go ahead and go to the folder, go to File, folder, Mars. There's some kind of warning going on down here. Number 7 color. Not sure what that means, but let's go through the process again. No problem. Mars. Mars, Venus, and Mercury, they all look fairly similar. We're being very creative when it came to texturing those planets. Okay, so we're at over a half an hour now, so let's go ahead and take a break here. Next lesson, we'll come back, we'll finish texturing our planet sets here, and then we'll start to introduce methods for animation. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next lesson.